Hello and welcome everyone to the 11th session of Hello Casa. My name is Michael and today I'll be talking to Bill Barnes, real estate agent from Miami, Florida. Bill has vast experience in real estate transactions and has made a lot of deals with people from Latin America. So if you're from Latin America or from another country and you want to invest in real estate in Miami, listen up and talk to Bill's story. So Bill, why don't you quickly introduce yourself?
Hi, Michael. Thank you for having me. I'm the owner of WJS Florida Realty, a real estate brokerage here in Weston, Florida, which is South Florida, and talking to many people in Colombia. There's a lot of Colombians and Venezuelans that do live in Weston, and so anybody listening to this from Colombia probably knows exactly where Weston is located. I've had the company now for about 10 years. And my wife is Colombian. She's from Bogota. And we travel down there quite frequently. And we have found that over time that Colombians are not just looking to move up here, but also looking to invest up here and maybe buy a home, buy a condo where they can buy it and start renting it out and putting money in their U.S. bank account. And, perhaps ultimately move up here in some time in the future.
One quick question, Bill. What does WJS mean?
WJS, it's actually three names. William, which is me. Jeannette, which is my wife. And S is for Steve, who is the broker who's on my board of directors.
Okay, perfect. The initials. Tell us a little bit about your services and your business. You're not only a real estate agent, but you're also doing property management and other things. What is it exactly?
Well, we've worked with some people that have bought up here before, and we'll help them buy a second or third property. But we find now that more and more people from Colombia are looking to invest up here. In fact, some people we know have owned properties or rental properties, income properties down there, and they're selling those to invest up here. And of course, buying real estate in the United States is very different than doing it in Colombia. Up here, there's a lot of rules, a lot of regulations, contracts can be 20 or 30 pages long, and it's quite a process. So to kind of take you through that process, the first thing would be to find a property that you like. Now, before you can even make an offer, you would need to have money in the bank, or if you don't have the full amount to buy the property, you would have negotiated with the bank and gotten a pre-approval letter if you need a mortgage. And then you make the offer. Then to go through closing here, there's a lot of processes. You need to hire an inspector to come out and check the property over, check the roof, check the foundation, electric, everything that may be within the house. The bank will then send it.
Does every home buyer need such an inspector?
You do not have to have one, but to spend $350, which is about what an average inspector is going to charge you, they're going to find some things. And then if you're the buyer and you go in and you find that it needs a roof repair for $1,000 and it needs, there's some electrical that needs to be fixed for another $1,000, you've already negotiated a price and have a contract, but let's say the inspector finds $10,000 worth of things that needs to be repaired before you close and purchase that house and it becomes yours. You can require the seller to fix those items, or perhaps he'd choose to reduce the price and you could fix them yourself once you moved in. So it always behooves a buyer to do that. And I just said, a couple thousand or 10,000. Well, what if they go in and the entire roof's got a problem? It needs to be replaced. There's some rotting. We have the cement tile roofs here, and that could be a $25,000 or $30,000 job. And you don't want to buy a house and have it for a $300 inspection. Be surprised.
Okay, perfect. Sorry for the interruption.
No, that's good. I'm glad you asked. But even before people buy, they'll say, well, gee, I don't have any money up there. I need to transfer money up there. And we can start all the way from just helping them open their first bank account. One thing I always find interesting is people say, I don't want to put my money in the bank. They're going to take all the money away from me in fees. Apparently in Colombia, every month, if you have money in the bank, there's fees. And that's not true in the United States. I mean, if you have under $1,000 in the bank, they may hit you with a $10, $15 fee every month. But once you have a few bucks in the bank, there's no fees, annual fees, monthly fees associated with anything. So people from Colombia like to hear that. But then they need to decide also, do they want this in their personal name? Do they want to open a U.S. corporation? If there's tax questions that need to be asked for each individual buyer on how they're going to use the property. Do they plan on selling the property? Do they plan on keeping it? And maybe if they pass away, and all these tax issues are things that wowould need to be asked before you figured how you wanted to buy this property. And of course, we work with a couple accountants here that know the questions to ask. You know, I'm a realtor, I'm not an accountant or a tax specialist. But we work with people, of course, living here in Weston. There's a number of them that are absolute experts in working with Colombians or Venezuelans in setting things up to minimize any tax liability from U.S. taxes.
What's the way most Colombians buy houses in Miami?
Well, a lot of them do buy personal, and a lot of them will set up a corporation. But again, every person is a little bit different. The tax laws in this country are complicated. What's the word I'm looking for? They're strange. How's that? Because you'll be taxed at a certain level as an individual, another level as a corporation. If you pass away and you're a foreigner, there is a huge 40% tax on the property. 40%. So these are things that I have an accountant that will set it up, and then you'll actually incorporate in Panama. So it depends on how much property you have. If you're a younger person or there's a couple people on there, and the person who owns it is not going to pass it away, and then bequeath it to a child or to a spouse, a younger spouse, whatever it may be. So these are questions that really need to be asked individually, but the tax ramifications are so severe when you're talking about a 40% tax rate. It exists, but there are ways around it. So these are questions that need to be asked up front and planned for up front, or in the end, you're going to lose your profits to taxes. No, it's not. It's not an inheritance when per se. It is when the property. Yes, when the person passes away and that property is sold, whatever the profits are for, and property continues to increase in value. It's 40%. But again, it's complex and strange to where, and you're talking to somebody who works with accountants who's not an accountant. And when it gets to those questions, I introduce somebody and let them discuss their private financial, and personal situation.
How much are we talking about setting up a corporation in Florida?
To set up a corporation, do everything, and set up your initial books, it's between $500 and $1,000. Okay. But then you're done. And then to maintain a corporation in this country is $150 a year. Okay. I mean, once a year in the state of Florida, you do it in Florida. Once a year, you need to pay $150 filing fee or ongoing fee.
And setting up a bank account?
Setting up bank account is completely free. The bank wants your money. The bank will be nice to you, and there's no charge for that. As far as representing buyers in the United States, the way it works is the seller pays the realtors. The seller pays the realtor that brings the buyer, and the seller pays the realtor that lists his home and promotes the home and puts it on. We have a very large multiple listing service here where 99% of the homes will be found, but it can't be listed by an individual. It must be listed by a realtor. There's a lot of rules and regulations to maintain the security as well as the validity and the accuracy of any information that's put on the MLS. What's there better be right, because it's my license that's at jeopardy if things are done incorrectly, and it maintains the integrity of the listings that you see. Okay. I can tell you one thing. It's let me go off to the side a little bit here with the internet nowadays. and everything being online, it's also available to the consumer to see online through other portals other than the direct multiple listing service account. I mean, it pushes everything out to Realtor.com and Zillow. So when we work with people in Colombia, we're working with somebody right now, and they're actually looking to buy here in Weston. They actually owned in Weston before, sold it, did very well on the property they bought and sold in capital gains in just a year. Or we saw that one. Can you run over and take a look at it for us? Because they're in Bogota. And it's like, sure, we'll go over. Let us take a look. Let's see if it looks like the pictures and, what we can see about the property, the neighbors, where it is, and anything else that may be, important to their decision of what they're looking to buy. So that's that, if you're in Colombia and you want to buy in the United States, you're not in the dark. There's very, very comprehensive information online. So it makes it easy to work. Now, if we find something they like, are they going to buy it without coming to see it first with us because they worked with us before? Yes. I would always encourage somebody, look, before we start, writing checks and signing contracts, come on up. The good news is, too, the flights are inexpensive between here and Bogota. So, you could come up for a day or two. If you're buying a piece of property for $250,000, is not cost prohibitive.
Perfect. That's why exactly we are setting up Hello Casa in order to facilitate the cross-border transactions and information flow.
If you let me tell you how we work with how a lot of people have kind of started investing up here, because some Colombians that have a lot of money will go to Miami Beach and they'll buy a condominium for $1 million or $2 million, but that's something that they're going to probably use themselves. And they're not looking at it for income necessarily. And certainly, if you have a $2 million condominium, you'd have to rent it out for $20,000 a month to make any money. So we find with most of our buyers now, we try to stay in around the $250,000, $250,000 range, US dollar range. For $250,000, we can get something that we can probably rent out for around $2,000 a month. So even if they paid cash, that's $24,000 a year. That's almost 10% return. Wow. Now, of course, with that, there's property taxes that are going to come off. There's insurance that you must carry, homeowners insurance. There may be a homeowners association and their fees associated with that. I mean, if a community has a nice pool or a nice park and a gated things, so the homeowners have to pay for that. And of course, as the owner, you're paying that, not the renter. But even when it's all said and done, for you to get 6 or 7%, pre-tax money, is not uncommon. I mean, and that people say, gee, yeah, and that's a lot of money. And I'll tell you, it's funny. People come up and they'll start to buy, and they're out a lot of money. They buy the place, and then of course, we provide full service for them. Not only will we help them find the house and buy the house, and help them with an accountant that can help them make their best decisions on how they want to structure it, whether it's they own it personally or a corporation. Of course, we manage the property and we help rent. We'll get it rented for them, and then we'll manage it. We'll make sure the rent's collected on time, and if there's any repairs needed, we are here to make sure that the property's kept in shape and all that.
Okay, great. That means I pay you and you take care of everything. Great.
Yeah, the fun thing that people tell me they like to do is, bank accounts here, you can just sign in and see everything online. So I think around the 3rd or 4th of the month, they always go online and they look at their bank account, and then they see there's a couple $1,000s that have been deposited in there, and that seems to make everybody happy. Well, there's, my bank account is growing. So
talking a little bit about the real estate market in the US, where do you see the real estate market in Florida, and what do you see as the biggest trends for the next years?
Well, this is something that Colombians can relate to, because they've opened this Panama Canal, and now super freighters can go through this Panama Canal. And this happened 4 months ago, maybe. There's only 3 ports on the eastern seaboard that can accept these freighters. One of them is Miami. Another one's New York. New York will not even accept these super freighters unless they stop in Miami first. So Miami's always been I don't know if the term is used down in Colombia, but we've always called this the capital of Latin America. I mean, that Miami's kind of had that designation. And when I say the Colombians can relate to this, I know that they're doing free trade zones right now in Barranquilla and Cartagena also for these, with all these super freighters coming through, and they're able to come through the canal. Now they'll be in the Caribbean and can they'll be warehousing things there more than they have been. So Miami is a world destination. It is the #1 city in the entire United States searched for by foreign buyers, not just South America, but people from Dubai or Germany or Switzerland or Italy or wherever. It's absolutely the #1 searched. So it's becoming, we're kind of in a world economy here, and this is truly a world-class city. Prices here right now are far below where they are in New York or Chicago or San Francisco or LA. I just had a sale of a home that was $850,000. And I laughed with the owner and I said, if your house was outside of Chicago, it would have been $1.85 million. If it was outside of New York, it would have been $2.85 million. And if it was outside of San Francisco, the same house would have been $3.85 million. So our upside here, I don't know how much higher it can go in some of these markets in the United States, but we have a relatively low cost of living to almost any city in the United States, whether it's Houston or Dallas or Atlanta. And the upside, we're the only city where it's 84 degrees here today. And what's today? February 7th. It's 84 degrees and sunny. It's not 80. It's not 84 degrees in New York. It ain't 84 degrees in Atlanta either. Or even Orlando, which is 250 miles north of here. It's not 84 degrees there either. It's probably in the 60s. So as far as any major city in the United States, this is the only one that can offer the beautiful beaches and the warm weather and the lifestyle that Miami offers. I mean, it offers a lifestyle like no other major city.
Okay, let's say I have 100,000 US dollars. What would you advise me to do and where to invest?
Well, if you had you said $100,000, correct?
Yes, 100,000.
If you had $100,000, you can get a loan with 30% down. So now for your $100,000, you're going to be paying some mortgage rates, but mortgage rates here in the United States are still only 4 or 5%. So if you had $100,000, you could go out and potentially buy that $200,000 to $250,000 piece of property. And so you would now, this is not, I know, the Latin American way, but the U.S. way is to leverage, mean put down as little as you can and own as much as you can. Which if you're in a market that's fluctuating, that can be dangerous. But here we've had our problems. The whole country did 9 years ago now, and things are back on the rise, but things are going along at a smooth, steady, and slow pace. So things are not getting in danger anymore. So for $100,000, you could buy in Weston, you could buy a 2-bedroom, 2-bath for between $200,000 and $250,000 that you could rent out for around $2,000 a month. And that would be more than enough to pay, the $150,000 mortgage and everything else. You could actually be cash positive because you not only do you have to pay taxes, but there's also tax benefits in owning income property or residential rental property. You can depreciate it, so it's really not a cash item that affects your cash flow, but it reduces your taxable amount. The end of the year when you file your U.S. taxes for the property that you own here, for the corporation that you may own here. So with $100,000, you can be controlling a $250,000 piece of property and basically have a renter in there helping you pay your mortgage and helping pay for the property, helping you own that property. Okay. So that was an excellent question.
Now coming to a little bit less beautiful topic, what about the laws of tenants, of those who don't pay, and landlords find themselves not being able to kick them out because even though they haven't been paying for the last couple of months. What does the law in the US do about, and is there any insurance for people who want to invest real estate in Miami?
We do a very thorough upfront scrutinizing process, including we demand that they get a letter from the local police department. And in this country, when you do a search for any criminal activity, you might get it from the local police department, but believe me, they're tied in with the database nationally. We check their credit reports, and here, everything is tied to your credit report, whether it's a credit card, whether it's, your previous apartments. If you've left another rental, we will contact the person, your previous landlord, whether it's a single person that owned a condo that you were renting or an apartment. So all of these things can be checked out beforehand. And, also employment, you don't want to take somebody that doesn't have a good job. And quite frankly, if you're getting a $250,000 piece of property, you can still find things in Fort Lauderdale to buy for $100,000. Now, it's not in any kind of a nice area or an upscale area, and you're going to have more danger in that type of an area than you are if somebody's willing to pay, has $2,000 a month to pay in rent. That means that they're spending $24,000 a year just for rent. So they should, they're going to be having maybe a $60,000, $70,000 a year job minimum to qualify for that. And if they have that, you can't even get hired in the United States with a bad credit report anymore. So people are very conscious of not messing up. And if they do and don't pay their rent, you can have them out in 60 days. I mean, they can't stay there forever. If they're there and they're renting and they don't pay their rent, you can file, and the police department will pull up in police cars on that 60th day and put their stuff out. So it does take 60 or 90 days, but people don't want to do that because then they're homeless and then their credit's messed up. And again, I don't get involved in buying $100,000 properties. It's just
Okay, I'm asking because in Europe and in Germany there are a lot of cases where it's very difficult. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
okay. No, and of course, no, we never want to be in that situation. But if you are, nobody, you're not going to be stuck with somebody living there for a year or anything. You can get them out.
Okay, now moving from Miami to Colombia, what's your opinion about investing in Colombia, and where do you see the market over there?
Well, I myself am looking to possibly buy down there. Again, my wife's Colombian, and I've been married for 26 years. And 26 years ago, there were still safety issues in Colombia. You didn't want to be out late at night in Bogota, especially if you didn't know what part of town you were in. And I have seen that come such full circle. I personally love Medellin, and there's the town Benicia that's a little over an hour away. Now they're building better roads and they're building tunnels through the Andes there. It's going to be about a half hour away. So I see Colombia as being very attractive to Americans now. Little story: a friend of mine who lives in New York works for a big company, and there's a lot of young men and women that work there in their 20s and 30s. And he says he'll walk in his office and he'll say, "Oh, hey, I didn't see you last week." And the person will say, whether it's a single man or a single woman or somebody who's married, he goes, "Oh yeah, we were on vacation last week." And he goes, "Oh yeah, where'd you go?" And they'll say, "Medellin." And he says, "Everybody's going down there. I don't know if it's just my office." And they come back and they go, "Well, did you like it?" And they go, "Oh my God, I can't wait to go back again." So I think that Colombia, for American investors, and certainly being married to a Colombian and living in Miami, I could tell you I think it's great. I've been down there. But when I'm hearing this from somebody in New York City, who all at once these young people seem to have discovered Colombia and are going down there on vacation, I think, that things are really opening up and will be wonderful for, hopefully realtors down there that are reaching out. And let me add a little thing there. I go down. My wife, of course, speaking Spanish, she's going down again next month for 2 full weeks, and it's going to be meeting with realtors there, offering our services to the realtors down there that have clients that are interested in the United States. And of course, we pay a referral fee, and let's talk about that for a minute. So, if you were a realtor and you were to refer somebody up here to buy a property, and it was $250,000 property, commission in the United States is normally 3% for the realtor that brings the buyer, that's paid for by the seller. So that means that's a $7,500 U.S. commission for selling that property. We pay a 25% commission to, a referral fee to other realtors that send people to us. So whatever 25% times, are you doing the math? So 25% times $7,500 is 3/4 of 25. It's like 1,700. No, it's like figure around $2,000. So what's that? Six? Is that no? It's more than that. But anyway, so I mean, you're looking. I'm going to do it real fast since I'm talking about it. So you're looking at a commission or a referral fee for a Colombian 7,500 times 0.25 times 3,000. Converted, it's almost 6 million pesos. Okay, 5,625,000 pesos. So I know this is a realtor's website, and I would love to tell them that it would be my pleasure. If you could send me people, and I certainly would like somebody qualified. If you give me somebody's name who's looking up here and they come from you, I will sign a referral agreement, and would love to work with realtors down there. Again, that's why my wife is going next month for a couple of weeks to schedule meetings and see the best way.
Okay, so for everyone interested in buying real estate in Miami, Florida, reach out to Bill Barnes, WJS Realty in Miami. He will help you find real estate. He will manage your property. He will do all the processes and everything related to it, even helping you by opening a bank account. So now talking a little bit about the cultural differences between Colombia and Miami and North America. What's your experience on dealing with Colombians and making business with them?
We haven't yet. We were down at the Colombian real estate show, and my wife being from Colombia, she knows a number of people. Right now, we are working with one person that was referred from Colombia, but they have not, haven't committed to buy anything yet. So this is now that we have started this and started looking, we've been around 10 years, but we've been doing things locally. And since we've been down to that real estate show where I met you, Michael, there was the same time I was down there that we got a chance to meet in person when you were in there as well. And we just saw how many people are looking to invest. And it certainly makes sense. If you're in Colombia and you want to invest, and you have the opportunity to invest in the United States and get the money in US dollars and put it in somebody's capable hands that's going to manage and maintain your investment here, and you're going to be able to make good money on it. It stands to reason. Just like it's kind of funny because where people are looking to buy up here and think it would be a good investment, I'm looking to get a Finca or a place down there in Medellin that I may or may not rent out. So is it an investment or a place that I'll have to enjoy? We're in the world economy, I guess.
Okay, so any final words from your side before we wrap up, Bill?
The warm words towards Colombia are, I love Colombia. I love the Colombian people. And when you come to Florida, especially South Florida, where we are, it's like home for the Colombians to come up here. And I don't think, I think it's funny and hopefully put a smile on somebody's face. And they say, yeah, if I ever had a place up there, my brother lives up there. My friend lives from high school lives up there. You know, my cousin's friend, who I know real well, just moved up there, bought a place last year. It's just very, very welcoming, you know, to all Latin Americans here. Okay,
perfect. Bill, may I forward your email address to the audience?
Oh, yeah, please do.
Okay, so it's wjcbarnes@gmail.com. Reach out to Bill if you're interested in buying real estate in Florida, especially in South Florida. He will help you finding the right property, doing the property management, opening a bank account, doing all the legal things concerning creating your own entity, and everything else which is necessary in order to buy real estate without any hassle in South Florida, close to Miami. Thank you very much, Bill. It was a pleasure having you. We talk soon, and you have hopefully a nice evening. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Michael.